Welcome back, and thanks for joining us today. Last time we talked about setting expectations and how critical it is to be honest about what this career really looks like. Today, we're diving into the reality behind that big number that you've mentioned before. Nearly 85% of new agents don't make it through their first year. Can you remind us again where that number comes from and why it matters so much?
That number comes from about 5 years of being as part of this industry, and the solutions that we've developed have had access to data. And the data that we've seen based on our applications, but the data has also been corroborated by other organizations using that data, like marketing organizations,
Got it.
as well as the insurance carriers themselves, have confirmed that after a year, about 85 plus percent of individuals who enter this space as independent agents will not be here. They will not succeed.
I think that that is such a staggering number. I'm sure many would agree with that. What do you think drives such a high failure rate in this industry?
There are a couple things that I would attribute to the high attrition rate. One is preparation and not having clear understanding of what is required for someone to be successful. And what another I would say is very important is the lack of skills and the cost to acquire the skills.
Right.
And because it's very costly to become proficient, by the time they get to a certain stage, 6 months into this, they realize that it is not for them because of that cost. So if there are ways to address the cost and the preparation, I think individuals would have a much higher success rate.
So is it, too, is it that the job is just that hard, that difficult, or is it more that new agents aren't really prepared for what this industry takes?
Yeah. I think, like the podcast says, anyone can do it, but it's not right for everyone.
Right.
I do believe, like any other work or event that you'd like to participate in, and you want to get to a certain level, you just have to develop the skill. So the question, is it that hard? It's not harder than other industries or other jobs.
Right.
The question is, are you prepared for it? And are you willing to do the work required to develop and hone the skills needed to be
Right.
successful? If you're not, you're going to fail. And I would say in any other industry, that would be the same. I look at myself and just my work ethic. I know that I could be successful in this industry.
Right.
What excites me and gets me motivated to put my all is definitely not selling life insurance and being a life insurance agent.
Right.
What I gain energy and joy from is solving problems with building technical solutions.
Right.
So I think, again, it's not any easier or harder than, but it's whether or not individuals are
Really takes that
ready
work.
to prepare and,
Right.
and develop the skills needed.
And you're obviously looking at this from outside the sales world. You're not in the insurance industry. What gave you, in a sense, kind of that confidence to speak into this industry? And what do you think gives you a unique advantage in spotting what the
Yeah.
real problems are?
So I am involved in the industry from the perspective of building solutions to
Right.
support.
Yep.
I am not a life insurance agent, so I
Correct.
certainly can't speak from
Yes.
that perspective.
Yes.
So, because I have, for the last 5 plus years, developed solutions to support large marketing organizations and also solutions that have integrated with insurance carriers, I have assessed the data and I've confirmed the results
Got it.
with partners in both of those spaces,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been able to draw some insights. And from that, I have that perspective that is different from,
Right.
an individual who's actually an agent or an agency owner. So my perspective is different, but I think because it is, I'll use not directly connected from the agents
Right.
working it,
Right.
it gives a different view
Yeah.
that I believe others should assess and take and help make, decisions
Right.
on what they need to do.
Right. Seems like a very holistic viewpoint that you have. Obviously, you've engaged with many individuals in this industry for the past 5+ years, as you said. When you started having those different conversations with, agency leaders or the new agents, what kinds of stories or patterns even did you hear again and again?
Frustration, not having support.
Mm.
They were surprised, and it was costly. Now, one can say for those individuals who are sharing this, and those are individuals who, typically would fall off
Right.
after some period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Persons may say, as part of the industry, that they were just not right for it. But you have to look at this 85%, right?
Right.
Something must be
Exactly.
common and
Mm-hmm.
consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And is it just that they're lazy or, and I don't believe that's the case. I
Right.
think there are times where, in one's life, it might not be the right time,
Exactly.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are other factors,
Right.
organizations. There are some organizations that just do not have the right level of support and so
Mm-hmm.
on. They don't properly prepare.
Right.
The agents themselves
Mm-hmm.
don't come in having the right set of expectations.
Exactly.
So they think they're going to make $10,000 per month, and they come in thinking that it can be done quite easily. They don't
Mm-hmm.
have to purchase leads. They don't have to spend hours making phone calls to try and book appointments and then have those appointments and identify the skills necessary to be proficient and successful, and then doing the work
Mm.
to develop and hone those skills, right? If that's not done, then it's going to be
Right.
challenging and
Right.
difficult.
You've said before, obviously, it kind of seems to almost be the theme of this episode that this career, it's hard. It can be done by anyone, but it's not necessarily right for everyone. What do you mean by that, if you wouldn't mind expanding?
Yeah, so individuals who would be successful are persons who have the right mindset. You need to be resilient. There will be a lot of no's.
Right.
You need to be someone who is willing to put in the work and the work to develop the skills that are needed to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not able to do those things as well as set the right expectations and work toward achieving those, it's going to be very difficult for you. This individuals will come in thinking they can make $10,000 a month. There are lots of money being made. All they have to do is spend, a couple hours a week to do some activities,
Mm-hmm.
and boom, boom, boom,
Right.
it's all happening.
Yeah.
Not having knowledge and awareness of all that is involved,
Mm-hmm.
but what is likely to happen from a monthly revenue commissions perspective. If you're not properly prepared, you will not make it. I
Right.
mean, I'll give you an example. Average agent coming in there early may spend $20 per lead.
Mm-hmm.
They may end up purchasing 200 leads for the month,
Mm-hmm.
$4,000.
Wow.
What that ends up doing, they may book and have appointments with 40 clients,
Mm-hmm.
prospective clients,
Right. Right.
out of which 8 policies get written for the month.
Wow.
And let's assume that each policy you get $1,000 for commission.
Mm-hmm.
That's $8,000.
Right.
Now that $8,000, person thinking, I can make $8,000.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of them don't take into account is you had to pay $4,000
Exactly.
for leads. So the
Right.
$8,000 is now down to 4,000. That 4,000, you may then have to pay taxes. But even before the taxes, a portion of those policies, 8, may fall off the books,
Right.
right? Let's assume that's one of those policies. So instead of the 4,000 that you have, you're now down to 3,000, and then you have to pay taxes
Right.
on the 3,750, let's say. So you're now down to 2,250,
Wow.
and then there may be some miscellaneous
Right.
expenses and so on. 250. So you're now down to $2,000. So the 8,000 that you made initially is now 2,000 that you're essentially able to live on.
Right.
And that is information that agents should know as
Right.
they're coming in so that they can be properly prepared, so that they can understand that when I make that commission, it's not just money that I can go and spend all of it,
Right.
because only 25% of that is really money that you'll be keeping, because the others you have to plan for some other expenses.
I feel like a lot of this kind of comes down to what you've defined as the PEP framework, PEP, prepare, expectation, practice. Can you walk us through what that is and why it's so important in deciding if this career is the right fit for you?
Yeah, I think as we have been supporting organizations, connecting with the insurance companies, it's become clear to me that these 3 elements, if done properly, will increase the likelihood that an agent will be successful.
Right.
And we've put ourselves in a position that we want to do things to help, right? The solutions, tools that we're developing
Right.
will address that and make it much, much more likely for them to succeed. So
Right.
the first P, prepare. Agents need to have clarity on what this industry really means and what it will require from them.
Right.
So if they're not prepared, like the exercise we just walked through,
Right.
understanding of the commission that they get, what percent of that dollar will they actually be keeping?
Right.
How many leads will they need to purchase? How much time will they be required to make calls to book appointments?
Right.
How much time do they need to set aside for those actual appointments? What are the necessary skills that are needed? The average person coming in is not an experienced salesperson,
Right.
and selling, advising, those are skills that are
Right.
needed.
Right.
How do you obtain them? And are you going to have some plan to? So that's the preparation piece. Expectation. If you don't have right expectations and your work habits are not in alignment with it, frustration
Right.
and things like that will come into play. So if I have an expectation right now that I'm going to be making and taking home $10,000 a month,
Right.
and I don't have an understanding of what goes into it, the number of hours that I need to be on the phone booking appointments and actually conducting those appointments, the number of leads that I need to be generating, whether I'll be buying them or from my warm market. If you don't have the right expectation and aligning them with the work that's needed, it becomes very challenging.
Right.
So we've got the prepare and the expectation. And the
Right.
last thing is the practice and skills that are needed. You need to practice them.
Right.
Like anything, if you want to really become proficient, if you think about sports, if you think about persons who are performers, if you think about persons who are, leading organizations,
Right.
they practice
Takes a lot of
and
skill.
practice and practice to hone that craft and that skill, whatever it is. There is that idea of 1,000 hours, right? You need to put in 1,000 hours of something to become really good
Right.
at it.
Right.
So if you don't do that practice, it becomes very challenging. So that's where PEP comes in. I'll just mention, I think about, again, things that we're doing to help increase the likelihood of success. And helping agents succeed also will help organizations
Of
themselves
course. Yep.
exceed, because I think that, and I'll just use this example. Let's assume that an organization has 1,000 agents coming through, right, each year. Based on what the numbers show, about 150 of them, 15%, will stick around, right? Because 85% will
Right.
fall
Right. Right.
off. The 85%, so 850, came through and have utilized some level of resource, your administration's time, expenses, and so on. And organizations, they like to be, I'll say, nimble and with the smallest number to make sure that they are as profitable as. So there's a limited amount of resource,
Right.
but you have a large number of agents coming through. And what we're saying is, hey, if you can help those 1,000 coming through identify whether it's right for them,
Right.
and eliminate those who, on the earlier point of it, say it's not right for them,
Right.
then you will remove a good portion of that overhead expense
Right.
and drain on the limited resource in
Right.
the organization, right? So that's one. And let's assume that instead of 85%, it's 50% that early identify and say, okay, it's not right for us. So we have 500 now coming through to that organization. And if the organization helps them prepare, helps them to set the right expectation,
Yeah.
and offer them things to practice,
Right.
what we have seen and what we are promoting is that you will double the number of agents who stick around. So instead of 150, you will now see easily 300, right?
Got
So
it.
that's a double. What we're also saying is that because these agents are better prepared, they are increasing the production earlier because they're much more proficient, faster,
Yeah.
and the quality of the business is better.
Makes
So
sense.
you increase, and the agents are writing what would be called stickier business. So it's more profitable, more revenue
Yep.
for organizations. So all those things put together, PEP is what we see as a way to address it. So one is helping the agents become more likelihood of succeeding, and that just helps the organizations
Yep.
themselves be more
Seems like a
successful.
win-win for everyone.
Yeah.
For someone listening right now, maybe they're brand new, maybe they're just a few months in. What mindset do you want them to carry with them as?
The mindset is, I'll say, resilient. Right? One has to be resilient. Self-learner, someone who is going to be dedicated. Those three, having those will certainly increase, and I'll say increase the likelihood of success. With regards to the readiness assessment, similar, and it connects back to what we were just previously speaking about, is can I help identify and can I help an agent identify whether or not right now they're ready for this?
Right.
And if we can, then that agent going through that process, if they're properly prepared,
Right.
they set
Have those
expectations,
Yep.
and they have a way to practice,
Right.
increase the likelihood. For those who recognize that right now isn't the right time, personally, I believe it would be a good thing for them to recognize it so that they can allay the spend
Right.
and possibly get into financial situation that is very difficult for themselves as well as their families, right?
Yeah.
Why put out 20 to 40,000 over 3 to 6 months and not get the returns because you had this misconception of what this industry is and the amount of work that it requires. So if we can help prevent that from happening, I believe we would be doing a good thing, not only for the individual, but also the organizations that, again, have a limited amount of resource. So that those 500 that they would normally be coming in, draining the needs because they're not prepared. They're going to be asking a lot of questions and requiring assistance from the managers, their uplines, the organization admin, and so on. And then within another 6 months, they're gone anyway.
Right.
So why not identify and help them not go through that? And then the organizations, because those individuals aren't coming in, have a lot more time and resource to focus on those who really need it.
Exactly. What specifically does the readiness assessment tool entail?
Thank you for coming back to that. Yeah, it's a tool that has a series of questions, and the individual agent will go through those questions, and at the end of it, based on the responses, it gives them a score and tells them whether or not they're ready to go forward with this. So again, just creating a bunch of tools, making them available so that individual who have an interest can go into this as best prepared. Because again, if they're prepared, expectations are set, and they get that practice done.
They're good to go.
Absolutely.
For people who are listening, those new agents, what would one takeaway be from this? What would you want to leave them with in all that we've discussed?
PEP.
PEP.
It's PEP. Prepare. If someone is introducing this and you're really interested, prepare. Ask them the questions. Get to know and understand what it is in the day in life of an agent. What does that experience? What does a weekly look like? And what does that monthly cycle look like? The expectation. Make sure after you have that and you're prepared, you set some proper expectations and align your work habits with that expectation. And then find a way to identify all the skills needed and then hone those skills. That 1,000 hours. I mean, it's just, something to consider. However, you need to practice.
Yep.
And if you practice, you will become better. And the more you practice, the faster you become proficient. And the faster you become proficient at this, the more you'll be able to make in commission to help your family and help protect as many families out there. So that's what I would leave them with.
Got it. In the next episode, we are going to talk about the mindset shift required for this industry, moving from employee to entrepreneur, and what it really takes to own your success. We will see you then.